But seriously, these are things that can take you out in a church. And we want to research and get to the bottom of how we best can help in this situation. These are the three areas that really affect everything you do, from the day to day operations to the long term ministry impact.
Well, welcome everyone to Distilled. Today we've got an exciting episode. We're going to be meeting with Greg, the founder and visionary of Parable. Greg, how are you doing today?
Thanks, Dan. I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here and thrilled about our conversation today.
Well, we're talking about something special that we're doing over the next few months that is kind of out of the rhythm for us, but this is a unique project that we're going to tackle. So, Greg, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we've got going on?
We are launching a nationwide research initiative. We're inviting church leaders all over to partner with us, and our goal is to better understand the current realities at the church you're at and what you're facing in financial management, stewardship development, and accountability. And I know when I said those three words, you probably were excited, and then I said those three words, and then your face dropped. But seriously, these are things that can take you out in a church, and we want to research and get to the bottom of how we best can help in this situation. These are the three areas that really affect everything you do, from the day to day operations to the long term ministry impact.
That sounds exciting. It maybe feels intimidating or like, oh man, finance, I don't want to dive into that. But the idea of this transforming how my church operates and how churches across the country operate, getting that data and learning from that, that's really going to be valuable for the kingdom stewardship for churches across this country. Well, let's dive into it a little bit. The first one you mentioned is financial management. What are you looking at there?
We're going to ask things like, what tools are helping you build trust with your congregation? What's challenging about building a budget that reflects your mission? Because we know that good financial systems aren't just about balance sheets, they're about clarity, alignment, and building trust.
Wow. It's interesting because we do see that sometimes with churches that come to us where they've been torn apart by these financial things. Now there's confusion and there's a lack of unity, and they're not able to focus on what God's called them to with their mission.
Exactly. We find that a lot of churches are doing some incredible ministry work out there in the world. And they're doing it, though, with some limited tools, maybe even some dull tools. They're outdated. They haven't been updated in a while because, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mentality. Because when you're in the trenches, you just got to keep going. And this survey will help us understand what's working, what's not, so we can design better resources that actually serve real needs. That's our bottom line here.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's going to be so valuable to churches and pastors, and just for the church to better steward finances. Talk about stewardship development. So you mentioned that. What are you thinking about for that? What are we going to be looking into?
We're asking leaders here what actually works in encouraging consistent, joyful giving. How do you disciple your congregation in this concept of generosity and biblical stewardship?
It's good because, you always hear, oh, you need to talk about donor development, but it's not just about donations. This is spiritual. This is important. And Jesus talks about where your money is, their heart is also. And so this is, yes, we're talking money, but this actually goes deeper. It's into spiritual things.
Yeah, we also want to know how churches are adapting to things like the rise of digital giving. Obviously, post pandemic, pretty much every church jumped into the digital space. And what did that shift giving habits? Are there different shifts with seasons? We have hunches on most of this stuff. Obviously, we work with a large breadth of churches, but we want to hear directly from you and what support you need to stay ahead of those trends without losing the heart of generosity, because that's really what it is about. It's not about attaching a number to the people in your congregation, but really encouraging their heart of generosity.
That's so good. You just think back the history of giving. At one point, you're offering literal things like food and animals, and then you're offering coins and dollars. And at some point, it gets to now you're writing a check. Now, well, it's really beneficial to churches to have the technology that's easy. People, they don't feel it like they used to, and they don't realize it. And you could lose the heart of generosity behind that in just the mechanics of how giving. We're not saying you don't want to use technology, but there's two sides to that, and both parts are really important.
Yeah, the way technology is going, who knows? Maybe we can go back and you'll just have a goat appear in your room, like, "Hey, trading you a goat today. Sorry, we can't pay actual dollars, but."
We'll have to like figure out an app for accepting goats one day, I guess. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the last thing you
Well,
talked
since you're
about.
Christians, it's sheep. We're gonna accept sheep, not
Yes.
goats.
Okay.
Sorry, no goats.
Great. Yes. Okay. Great. Well, let's move on to our last one. You talked about accountability. So this is where we're talking about integrity and all of that. What are we going to be looking into with that?
Exactly. Here we're asking, what are the practices that are in place to protect your finances? Where do you still feel vulnerable? What keeps you up at night here? We're also asking about communication and how churches are sharing their financial updates and stories of the impact to their people. We're really trying to dig into how are you encouraging generosity from even the stage at church or in the areas where you're having a platform.
Well, and accountability can be so critical with that. And from my time as executive pastor, sometimes people they like bought into the mission and the vision of the church. That was one piece, but they also need to make sure dollars weren't going to be going to the wrong thing. And so once they had comfort with both of those, all of a sudden they were excited about giving and funding and accountability and being transparent with that. Just so critical to build that trust and get people to feel comfortable giving.
We're also diving into technology here. What systems are churches using for accounting, reporting, and giving? What training and tools are still needed? There's some exciting stuff. Technology has really allowed for the building of tools. And sometimes you got developers developing technology in a bit of a vacuum. And we would like to even help propel those developers to really create real world tools. So accountability isn't just about policies, it's about equipping people to lead well.
Man, just a few little differences in how a software is developed can mean a whole world of difference in terms of accountability and multiple sets of eyes and all of that. So, Greg, I'm a pastor listening to this. Why should I stop what I'm doing and take this survey?
Because we really need your help. Is that enough?
Sure.
If not, because really your experience can help shape things bigger. How can we come together as a community to build something better? We want to turn what we learn from the survey into real solutions, trainings, systems, tools. All of these things can work in the real world of ministry, and we want them to work. While you're in the trenches, we want it to support you in such a way that you don't even realize you have that awesome of a tool. It just allows you to do your work better. And we can't do it without hearing from leaders like you in the trenches.
That's so good. Well, Greg, give it to me straight. What is one takeaway or action item every pastor needs to take from this episode?
All right, here's the next step, action step. Head to liveyourparable.com/survey or click the link in the show notes. Everyone who participates in the survey bonus will get access to the data we collect. So this will show you kind of benchmarks where other churches are at, what other churches said in the survey, and give you some actual data there. Not only that, but when you take the survey, you'll also get our exclusive resource called 7 Questions No Church Financial Leader is Asking, but All Should Be. And you'll have a chance to win an iPad. So, really, 3 things you get back just by taking this survey. Please join us in this.
That's great. Well, we'd be honored to include your voice in the study. As Greg said, head to liveyourparable.com/survey. Fill out the survey today. Your church is going to benefit from the results. You'll be helping churches across the country, and you're going to get some good resources. You're going to get access to the data that we collect. You'll get access to that resource about these important questions every pastor needs to be asking. And then, of course, a chance to win an iPad. So thank you for joining us today. Take the survey. We're excited to see how God uses this to shape the kingdom and shape churches moving forward.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing, Dan, and thanks for setting up this conversation. But really, this is for all churches, whether you feel like you've actually figured out finances and have it all figured out and have the tools you need, because you can be helpful to other churches that don't yet have it all figured out. And even if you feel a little bit maybe like shamed around this, please be part of the survey, because that is really where we don't want any pastors or churches to kind of feel bad about where they are financially. we're really trying to help encourage and come alongside. So please jump into the survey no matter what size church you are or where you're at in that spectrum.
That's great. Thanks so much, Greg.